I always thought betrayal was something that happened to other people. You read about it in stories, hear about it from friends, but you never think it'll happen to you. I was wrong. 12 years ago, I walked into my home expecting a normal evening. Instead, I found my wife tangled in bed with another man. Not just any man, my best friend. The image burned itself into my mind instantly. Her bare skin, his hands gripping her, the gasps of pleasure that weren't meant for me. My stomach twisted so violently I thought I'd be sick. My legs locked up, refusing to move, as my brain struggled to catch up with reality. Then she saw me. Her eyes went wide with horror, her mouth opening and closing like she was searching for words that wouldn't come. My so-called best friend? He scrambled to grab his clothes, muttering excuses that I didn't hear over the roaring in my head. I don't remember how long I stood there, just that my hands were shaking, my chest was tight, and my heart felt like it was caving in on itself. Then something inside me snapped. The life I thought I had, the love, the trust, the future I built was a lie, and I was about to burn it all to the ground. The silence after the betrayal was deafening. Lauren sat on the bed, wrapped in the sheets she had just defiled, her face pale and tear-streaked. My so-called best friend, Jason, fumbled with his jeans, trying to pull them on like a coward caught in the act. I didn't yell. I didn't lunge at him like some jealous husband in a bad movie. I just stood there, breathing through the pain clawing its way up my throat, feeling my heart shatter into a million unfixable pieces. Wait, please, let me explain. Lauren's voice trembled as she reached out for me. I stepped back. My entire body recoiled from her touch, like she was poison. Explain what? My own voice barely sounded like mine. Explain how long you've been screwing my best friend behind my back? Jason finally managed to shove his shoes on and had the nerve to look ashamed. But not enough to say anything. Not enough to take responsibility for what he'd done. He just stood there, head down like a scolded child. How long? I repeated, my voice lower this time. Lauren sobbed, gripping the sheets tighter. It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. How long? A pause. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, 2 years. 2 years. I felt something inside me snap so hard it nearly knocked me off my feet. My fists clenched, my nails digging into my palms as I forced myself to stay still. 2 years of my life spent loving someone who had been betraying me behind my back. 2 years of sharing a home, a bed, a future with a woman who had no problem sneaking around with the man I trusted most. And they had the audacity to call it a mistake? I nodded slowly, the numbness creeping in. Get out. Lauren's eyes widened. What? I pointed at Jason, who had gone dead silent. Both of you, get out. Jason didn't need to be told twice. He bolted like the coward he was. But Lauren? She hesitated. She started crying harder, pleading, begging me to listen. But I was done listening. I turned my back on her, walked out of that room, and slammed the door behind me. I thought that would be the worst of it. I had no idea the storm that was coming. The night after I caught them, I didn't sleep. I sat in my car in a Walmart parking lot, staring blankly at my hands on the steering wheel. My mind was a battlefield. Rage, heartbreak, betrayal, and the crushing weight of wasted years. I wanted to scream, to break something, to wake up and realize this was just a nightmare. But it wasn't. By morning, I drove back home, half hoping it had all been a bad dream. The moment I stepped inside, the silence of the house wrapped around me like a coffin. Her things were still everywhere. Her shoes by the door, her sweater draped over the couch, her perfume lingering in the air. I had spent years building a life with Lauren. Now all I had was ruins. She wasn't there. She must have left in the night. Good. I didn't want to see her. But that peace didn't last long. By noon, my phone started buzzing. Texts, calls, voicemails. Lauren, please just talk to me. I made a mistake. Lauren, I don't want to lose you. Let me explain. Jason, I don't even know what to say, man. I'm sorry. Jason, please just let me talk to you. I deleted Jason's messages without reading further. He was dead to me. Lauren, though, Part of me wanted to hear her out to get answers. But what answer could possibly make this better? And then, the messages from mutual friends started. Hey man, I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. Dude, are you okay? Lauren's been telling people you overreacted. That it wasn't a big deal. I froze at that last one. Wasn't a big deal? Wasn't a big deal? I clenched my phone so hard I thought it might snap. This woman had destroyed my life. She had spent 2 years betraying me with the person I trusted most. And now she was trying to downplay it? That was the moment something inside me changed. The heartbreak turned to something sharper. She thought she could walk away from this without consequences. She was wrong. I spent the first few days drowning in heartbreak, but something inside me had shifted. The pain was still there, sharp and unforgiving, but anger had started to take its place. Lauren wasn't just a cheater. She was a manipulator. While I was barely keeping it together, she was already spinning the story in her favor. Mutual friends reached out, hesitant, like they didn't know what to believe. Man, Lauren said you two were having problems for a while. She said you were emotionally distant. She told us it was just a mistake, that she didn't mean to hurt you. It made me sick. She was rewriting history, making excuses, trying to soften what she had done. A 2-year affair wasn't a mistake. It was a choice she made over and over again, lying to my face every single day while pretending to love me. I hadn't responded to any of her messages since that night. She had blown up my phone with calls and texts. Lauren, please talk to me. I need to explain. Lauren, I love you. We can fix this. Lauren, you're scaring me. Please don't do anything crazy. Crazy. I wasn't the one who had been living a double life. But that last text told me something important. She was nervous. She knew I wasn't just going to roll over and take it. And she was right. I took a deep breath and opened my laptop. See, Lauren was careless. She left her laptop logged into our shared cloud. And because of that, I had access to everything. Every text, every email, every deleted message she thought was gone forever. And there it was. Proof. Texts between her and Jason that made me want to put my fist through a wall. Lauren, I feel bad, but he's so clueless. I can't help it, I want you. Jason, he'll never find out. He trusts me too much. Lauren, sometimes I think about just telling him so I don't have to sneak around anymore. But I don't want to lose what we have. That one hit the hardest. She wasn't sorry. She never had been. She had considered coming clean, not out of guilt, but because lying had become inconvenient for her. I gathered every message, every damning piece of evidence, and saved it. Then, I sent it to the people who mattered most. Her family, our mutual friends, Jason's fiancée. Yeah, Jason wasn't just my best friend. He was engaged to a woman named Emily, who had absolutely no idea what was happening behind her back. Until now, the fallout was immediate. My phone blew up within minutes. Lauren called me in a panic, leaving frantic, tear-filled voicemails. Jason tried too, but he was already blocked. And then the messages came. Lauren, what the hell is wrong with you? Lauren, you had no right to do that. Lauren, you're ruining my life. I stared at the words, a bitter laugh escaping my throat. Ruining her life? She had already ruined mine. I was just returning the favor. And I wasn't done yet. The fallout was worse than I expected. Lauren's carefully crafted life crumbled overnight. Her family was furious. Her mother, who had always treated me like a son, called me in tears, apologizing over and over like she was somehow responsible for her daughter's choices. Her father? He didn't say much, but from what I heard, Lauren was no longer welcome in their home. Jason's fiancée, Emily, took it even harder. She sent me one message after she got my email. Emily, thank you for telling me. I had no idea. That was it. No questions, no screaming. Just those 6 words. Then, 2 days later, I heard from a mutual friend that Emily had packed up, left town, and completely wiped Jason from her life. She didn't even give him a chance to explain. Good. But Lauren wasn't taking it well. She kept trying to call, and when I wouldn't pick up, she started showing up at my door. The first time, She pounded on it for almost 10 minutes straight, sobbing between knocks. I watched from the window, arms crossed, waiting for her to give up. Eventually, she did. The second time, she left a handwritten letter, slipping it under the door before I could stop her. I love you. I know I hurt you, but please, please talk to me. I need you. We can fix this. Don't let this be the end of us. I burned it. But it was the third time that things got messy. It was late, and I had just gotten back from grabbing a drink with a few friends. Friends who had all cut Lauren off the moment they saw the truth. I was unlocking my door when I heard footsteps behind me. Please, just listen to me. I turned around. Lauren stood there, her face streaked with tears, her makeup smudged like she had been crying for hours. Go home, Lauren, I said, my voice cold. She shook her head. I can't. She choked on her words, gripping the sleeves of her sweater like a scared child. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking. 2 years. I cut in. That's not a mistake, Lauren. That's a choice. She flinched like I had slapped her. I sighed, running a hand down my face. I was exhausted, physically, emotionally, mentally. I just wanted her gone. Why Jason? I asked, my voice lower now. Why him? She looked down, biting her lip. I don't know. I scoffed. Yeah, you do. You just don't want to say it out loud. Her silence told me everything. Lauren had always loved attention. She needed to be wanted, and Jason? He gave her that. She never stopped to think about the destruction she was causing because in her mind, she was the victim of her own bad decisions. I stepped inside and shut the door in her face. She stood there for a while. I could hear her crying, whispering my name, pleading for one last chance. I didn't give it to her. That was the last time I saw her. Or so I thought. Because Lauren wasn't done yet. I thought ignoring Lauren would be enough. That eventually she'd get the message and move on. I was wrong. A week passed. Then 2. I started picking up the pieces of my life. Filing for divorce, changing my locks, cutting out anyone who tried to make excuses for her. I wasn't healed, not by a long shot, but I was surviving. Then one night she showed up again. I was sitting on my couch, half watching a movie, when I heard something outside. At first, I thought it was the wind, until I saw the shadow through the peephole. Lauren. I cursed under my breath. She was standing on my porch, arms wrapped around herself, rocking slightly on her heels. I considered ignoring her, but I knew she wouldn't leave. So I opened the door. She looked like hell. Eyes red-rimmed, hair a mess, shoulders slumped like the weight of her choices was finally pressing down on her. I know you hate me, she whispered. I didn't answer. She swallowed hard. But I don't know how to live without you. I sighed, shaking my head. You should have thought about that before you threw it all away. Tears welled in her eyes. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Yeah? What was it supposed to be like? Lauren? Were you planning to keep lying to me forever? Or was I supposed to just forgive you and pretend like none of it happened? She sniffled, looking down at the ground. I was selfish, she admitted. I was stupid. I loved you, but Stop. My voice was firm. You don't love me, Lauren. You loved the idea of me. You loved the security, the comfort. But love? Real love? You don't betray someone you love for 2 years. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time since this all started, she had no words. Good. I let out a slow breath, suddenly exhausted. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to fight. But I am done. I met her eyes. You need to move on. You don't get to cling to me now that you've lost everything. She let out a choked sob. So that's it. I nodded. That's it. She stared at me for a long moment. Then, finally, she turned and walked away. I watched her disappear into the night, feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. Lauren and Jason lost everything. Their reputations, their relationships, their carefully built lives gone. Me? I built myself back up. Took time, but I did it. New job, new city, a fresh start. And eventually, I found someone who truly loved me. So was the revenge worth it? Absolutely. But karma? That handled the rest. Update. It's been 6 months since I walked away from Lauren for good. 6 months of rebuilding, of learning how to exist outside of the wreckage she left behind. And for the first time in a long time, I can finally say I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. A few weeks after everything went down, I packed up and moved to a new city. Nothing drastic, just far enough to leave behind the constant reminders of what happened. I got a new job, one that paid better and didn't come with coworkers whispering about my personal life behind my back. I even started working out again, something I had neglected for years while trying to hold together a marriage that had already crumbled. And Lauren? She didn't take my silence well. For the first couple of months, she kept trying to reach out. Emails, calls from unknown numbers, even messages from fake social media accounts. The same tired apologies, the same desperate attempts to get me to talk. I ignored every single one. Eventually, she stopped. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved back in with her parents for a while. Something that must have killed her pride, considering how much she used to brag about being independent. Apparently, they weren't exactly welcoming, especially after seeing the evidence I sent them. And Jason lost everything. His engagement, gone. His reputation, shattered. His job. Well, turns out cheating on your fiancé with your best friend's wife isn't a great look in a workplace where people actually have morals. Last I heard, he was couch surfing, drinking too much, and blaming everyone but himself for how his life turned out. Poetic, isn't it? But the best part? I've moved on. Not just from Lauren, but from the bitterness. I'm seeing someone new. Nothing serious yet, but she's kind, funny, and most importantly, genuine. She doesn't play games. She doesn't lie. And for the first time in years, I'm reminded of what real happiness feels like. I used to wonder if revenge was worth it, if exposing Lauren and Jason was the right thing to do. Now, I don't regret a damn thing. Karma did its job and I'm finally free. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like.